simple. I suppose maybe the slight difference now, Chris, is that he's got that little bit of stardust coming through the team that can just break the line and create it, whether it's a Stuart, Knowles back fit, Aaron ready to come back on. Yeah, it's a good blend. I think it's a good blend, and I'm happy to watch England win rather than just perform.
Yeah, I think England fans listening do just want a series win to park the Six Nations and to look forward to the autumn, the Six Nations and that World Cup that is looming next year. The players are out just running past that beautifully idiosyncratic green pavilion at the SCG. Anthems coming up, the Welcome to Country coming up, but first we're going to have a moment of applause in memory of Andrew Cole, the former referee, the Australian who died last week after suffering from cancer. So a moment's applause coming up
to acknowledge
for
and remember
Andrew
the
Cole.
life of Andrew Cole, who sadly passed away in the early hours last Saturday morning. A much-loved member of the rugby community, Coley officiated 31 test matches, including at 2 World Cups. As a mentor, coach and selector of some of the biggest names in officiating, his impact on a generation of match officials will be his enduring legacy. We ask you that you join us now in a moment of celebration with a round of applause for Coley. Thank you. Uncle Lloyd Walker will now deliver a welcome to country.
I can buy Lloyd Walker. Kamari Ray Daralanga. Galguguru Nuranayang. Good evening, families, ladies and gentlemen. In my opening remarks, the local Aboriginal language of this area, I said, I'm Lloyd Walker. I'm speaking to you in Darawal. We're standing on Gadigal land. Our people move freely between coastal Sydney and Illawarra, hunting, gathering, looking after the land and the waterways, until the formation of the New South Wales Aboriginal Protection Board in 1883, where coastal Aborigines of Sydney were relocated to La Perouse Aboriginal Mission to be out of sight and out of mind of the colony. 139 years later, and Sydney growing around us, we strive to stay on our traditional lands for the next 139 years and beyond. So once again, a warm welcome, and I hope everybody had an enjoyable night. Being a former Wallaby and assistant coach with the Wallabies, I'm looking forward to the decider tonight. In concluding, in Aboriginal culture, we don't have a word for goodbye, as we believe we will see our friends and family even after death. We have a Darawal term, Nana Wabi. Nana for sea, Wa for the future, B for I. When I conclude, I'll say Nana Wabi, and you can respond with Nana Wabi. Nice and loud. Get those tonsils working for tonight's game. On behalf of the traditional owners, the Bidjigal people of La Perouse, Nana Wabi.
Former Wallaby Lloyd Walker with the traditional welcome to country. In a moment,
The national anthem
we'll have the Australian
England will
anthem,
now be
but first,
performed by Sylvie Woods,
here
followed by the
is God
national
Save the
anthem
Queen.
of Australia to be performed by Joshua Robson.
God save our gracious Queen, long live our noble Queen. God save the Queen. Set her victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God save the Queen.
Courtney Laws leading England in singing the national anthem, the captain on his 96th cap. Here's the Fast Australia Fair.
Australians, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Emotion on the face of the Wallaby captain, Michael Hooper. It is all to play for, and after Ireland's heroics in Wellington, over to England in Sydney. We're almost ready to go. The England team, by the way, Ellis Genge, Jamie George, Will Stewart, the front row. Ollie Chesham, what a day for the Leicester lock. He starts for the first time in an England shirt. He's alongside Johnny Hill in the second row. Courtney Lawes captains from 6. Lewis Ludlam starts in place of the concussed Sam Underhill. Billy Vunipola was back to his best in Brisbane. Will we see more vintage Billy in Sydney this morning? He's at number 8. Danny Care's back in the side. He partners clubmate Marcus Smith 9 and 10. Owen Farrell at 12. Guy Porter outside him. Tommy Freeman, Jack Nolan, Freddie Stewart the back 3. Australia been injury hit all through this series. They go James Slipperday Parecki and Taniela Tupou. They're stretched at lock. Nick Frost alongside Matt Phillip. Harry Wilson's in the side for the first time this year on the blind side. Michael Hooper at 7. Rob Valentini is at number 8. Nick White wins his 50th at scrum half. Noah Loloseo starts for the third time in this series at number 10. Samu Karevi and Hunter Paisami is the dangerous midfield combination. Marika Korobetti, Tom Wright and Reece Hodge make up the back 3. And we are ready to go at the SCG. What a venue this is for the series decider as Loloseo kicks towards that green pavilion, and up goes Chesham, who makes a good start to his first start in an England shirt.
Okay, leave now.
Danny Care just inside his own half, pops it into the box, but he's charged down straight away by Frost, and Frost almost got onto it. It was knocked on by Nick Frost, but Matt Dawson, exactly what you don't want as a number 9 with your first clearance kick.
I mean, not ideal. Lots of pressure. You can see the intensity from Australia. Maybe that's a little bit of a focus. I mean, it was fairly good drill. Maybe Danny just taking a split second before the charge down. I'd have to say, I thought there was a moment where Marcus Smith took out the big guy. You not think?
Yeah, the fans are booing it, aren't they, as a decision. I think the law says the moment he makes contact, regardless of whether he's in control of it, you're allowed to make that tackle. And so the timing, although depending on which angle you look at it, would seem like he was a little bit early. Marcus Smith, the junior, bailing out his senior member at Harlequins, Danny Care.
And England bailed out there by a free kick at the scrum. The voices there of Ugo Monya, Matt Dawson, regular voices of ours on 5 Live and the Rugby Union Weekly podcast, will be podding on the full-time whistle after this game and reflecting on that magnificent series win for Ireland, the Irish making history in New Zealand. Owen Farrell receives an Australian kick and he belts it downfield himself. Taken by Noah Loloseo, and a little bit of kick tennis ensues, as it often does in the opening stages of these test matches. Marcus Smith puts boot to ball and asks Farrell to hare after it.
Really interesting, this kick tennis which we're seeing at the moment. It's 3 kicks each. England against Australia, and it's so important. What you often find are these long kicks that go 50, 60 metres. As you can just hear it there, there's about 20 odd players in the middle of the pitch not doing a lot. The law is, if you're within that 10, then you have to stand still until the player who's then running goes more than 5 metres. Will Stewart, a soft penalty to unleash a little bit of pressure on Australia after 2 minutes 23 seconds.
England then given the penalty away for offside, and Reece Hodge on the halfway line. Can he improve on what's been fairly dodgy line kicking from the Wallabies all series? He takes it up to round about the 22, and Australia prepare to throw into the line-out. Parecki, once of London Irish and Saracens, but starting for the 3rd time this series, winning his 3rd cap. Into the midfield go Australia. Karevi is the straight-up runner. White snipes to the left and finds Nick Frost on his 2nd cap, and he carries boldly into the 22. Good start from Australia as Hooper takes it from White, the Centurion from the half-Centurion. England away over the top there. Billy Vunipola's given a penalty advantage away. So Australia with free ball, they may just want the pen to kick for the lead. 25 metres out or so, slap bang in centre field. White, Lolaseo to the right they go. Good ball by Sammy, ever so slightly though behind Hodge, who had to check and almost handed off Guy Porter. Still penalty advantage to Australia in the opening minutes in Sydney. No advantage, back for the penalty. And Australia, Matt Dawson will have a chance to go for goal or stick it in the corner and keep the pressure on England.
Yeah, points crucial. Early on, establish a good strike rate early on. You think Australia have got to get the points on the board. Nick White looking like he really does want to include the big runners around the fringes. Lots of assessment of the first two test matches. They've got so much analytics to look at. By this stage, the two number 9s should be running the show and organising. Just see at the moment Australia having a little bit more ball, attacking the short sides, but England's defence looks pretty solid to me.
England are going for goal, Hugo. Lolaseo for 3.
Yeah, interesting exchanges from the second test to what we're seeing so far. It was England that really set the tempo of how the game should have been played. Ellis Genge, that almighty carry against Michael Hooper, and it's Australia's trying to flip that level of power on the gain line. And with that, a couple of silly penalties to England, and Lolaseo, well, he would have been dreaming up this first kick. It's what you'd call a banker. Well, it's only a banker until it goes over the crossbar and in between the sticks.
Well, he's kicking towards the Don Bradman stand at the SCG, and he's got to aim for the A in stand. If he does that, he will split the posts in half and put the Wallabies on the board and into the lead. 5 minutes gone in Sydney. Australia 0, England 0. Noah Lolaseo for 3. Oh, he's pushed it to the right. Hugo called it a bank. A nice classic commentator's curse. We have said how composed Lolaseo's looked this series, but the young man passing up a chance of points there.
Massive let-off. Massive let-off. At this standard, and Matt, you spoke about Owen Farrell and his level of kicking. He'd been 90% plus.
Well, Farrell, you mentioned Farrell, he's gone out on the full.
I'm putting my mic down, Jonesy, honestly.
So, Lolaseo with a banker miss. Farrell, safe as houses, out on the full. Australia Dorse with a scrum on the 22, slap bang in centre field.
Yeah, good position, great position. In fact, lots of opportunities to go, calls rather, to go through a position on the training park where you will be putting the scrum down, say, right, what we're going to do from here. You'd like to think that if, you know what, like with these commentaries, you talk about a backs move and it never even gets anywhere near the fly half, but if there is a steady scrum, we're certainly going to see the intent of Australia, but it's got to be on the back of points, fellas. England are not going to be easy to score against today. Every opportunity, 3, 5 or 7, you've got to take it.
Huge day of international rugby union. Big day of golf, as we know, the third round of the Open, and also in county cricket as well. Yorkshire batting first in the first of the T20 Blast finals day matches in the semi-final against Lancashire. Yorkshire batting first, they're 24 for 1 after almost 3 overs, so always a great day in the domestic cricket calendar. T20 Blast finals day, it is underway over on Extra as Australia get their drills wrong and go out of play on the right.
They butcher a 2-on-1, this is a try. That is, Reece Hodge has been brought into the team. Centre field scrum, they opted to go right. They did everything absolutely spot on until that final pass, and you got to say it would have been Tom Wright, 1-on-1, 10 metres out up against Freddie Stewart. And it's Ireland, sorry, not Ireland, still got Ireland on the brain. It's England's line out as they look to clear their lines.
Well, Australia have got a real shove on at the line out, and England are far from the team that we saw in the opening stages of Brisbane. They just need to kind of weather this Wallaby storm. It's still 0-0 despite the Australian pressure. They've missed the kick a goal, Australia. They've passed up a great opportunity on the right flank as Kerr finds Billy Vanapola, and the Wallaby intensity in the contact area already seems up a notch from Brisbane. Frost and Valentini double teaming Vanapola there to drive him backwards. England camped inside their own 22. Danny Kerr, the 35-year-old, back in the scrum half saddle. That's a much better kick from Danny Kerr. Matt Dawson takes play almost into Australia's half.
Yeah, it would have been just a half a second of extra thought going through Danny Kerr's mind. They're having his previous box kit being charged down. He's thinking, just get me that extra piece of the caterpillar that they create on these rucks. Lovely kick halfway, wasn't out at the full because he was on the 22, and yeah, I mean that's a nice feeling to get that. Just relieve the pressure, take stock. England regroup.
I can't believe this. Australia look like they've got another injury. Cooper, Neville, Seo, Parise, Kellaway, Banks, Alaalatoa, Ikitau, they've all gone down injured during or just before games. I know Alaalatoa and Ikitau are back on the bench, but it's James Slipperugo who looks like he might have to come off after injuring a shoulder.
Yeah, 117 caps. You know, when you're losing 9 players in a decided test match in the build-up to this fixture, you want to keep as much experience as you can. It looks like, I mean, he's flown into the maul and he's caught, well, certainly connected with Courtney Lawes.
I think
he's soldiering on.
I think he's had a stinger. He's just shaking it off. You know, you just separate that neck and shoulder, little stinger down the arm. Tough as boots, those front rowers. They won't come off for that.
God, he has as well. He's at the front of the line out, and he has managed to withstand that challenge and play on. Bang on halfway. 8 minutes gone. Australia 0, England 0. Parecki throws. Nice drill from Nick Frost, who started well at the line out in an open play. Valentini as Australia try and link, but there looks like there is going to be a penalty.
Yeah.
Corabetti, hold on a minute. He's given a penalty to Australia, even though they were on the attack.
Yeah, this is Johnny Hill. It's been spoken about the last couple of tests. It was Johnny Hill. They got Swain sent off in that first test. He floods through the line out trying to put pressure on Nick White. That's absolutely fine. He tackles him man and ball.
No need to make a conversation about this.
Doesn't need the afters, as the ref just explained it. Johnny Hill, who's often been a protagonist, who's often set the tempo. Let's have another look at this. He's gone through, that's fine. But then what turns into a slight WWE move on the floor, keeping him down, well, that's not allowed. And it's good to see the ref actually just stamping that out of the game in the opening 10 minutes.
Yeah, the Australian broadcast, the footage that we were watching pre-game, there was just a little 1 minute VT on Johnny Hill, Ellis Genge, all the little afters when they scored a try last week, and Ellis Genge is pushing Michael Hooper in his, or patting him in the chair. I think it was basically something's been said to the officials, say, you're going to put up with all this niggle?
Yeah, niggle has been a much used word this week from the Australian camp. I think he's suggesting England are working plenty of afters, and now they're working a nice move with Tupou going through, but he can't link, and twice now Australia have had golden opportunities to slice England open, and twice their handlings let them down. Lovely little move around the ruck. Tupou went scything through, but he couldn't link with Frost, who could have been under the post. England hang on, still 0-0.
Goodness me. Australia just can't afford this. They've had 2 gilt-edged chances, super line from Tupou, and that's bread and butter. That's schoolboy stuff. 2-on-1. Passes it to Frost. Was it Frost? Frost going through on the supporting? It was Frost going through on a supporting line. It's not even close. It's like to scoop it off his toes.
It's like he's tried to spin pass it about a foot.
Yeah.
You know, he could have handed it to him, and Frost could have, if not been in, but certainly then got right behind England. And Australia's still pointless from this first 10-minute onslaught.
I mean, Australia have almost had as many try-scoring opportunities in the opening 10 minutes as they had the whole second test, and they butchered them both. This is a game which is going to go within 7 points. You just have that sense. After looking at the opening 2 tests, I mean, they are massive opportunities, and the Lolesio missed kick as well.
Penalty to England at the scrum. That'll buoy England. I think it's going against Tupou, who was a marked man in that first test match at the scrum, and he's given away a penalty as well. And Ellis Genge actually gave him a pat on the back that wasn't goading, it was more hard luck made, and there was a bit of sincerity there.
I'm not sure about that. Will Stewart's lost his bind, shoved his right arm under, which has brought that side down, and then the ripple effect going onto the loose head side. But it was so far away from the near touchline official. He's obviously not called it. That was a wrong call from Paul Williams. England let off though and relieved pressure, so yeah, all works well.
England with the line out. Jamie George finds Courtney Lawes, and now Lewis Ludlam peels away and finds Billy Vunipola. So 6, 7 and 8 working well in tandem. England have a little bit of ball here inside their own half. Kerr loses it. That's gone forward off Danny Kerr under pressure from Australia, and now they might look to counter while Australia then loses. So 2 knock-ons. Back we come for the first knock-on. Bit of a nervous start from Danny Kerr.
Oh, you'd be fuming if you're Danny Kerr here. I think there's a player in the middle of the ruck.
Agreed.
I'm not sure he was on his feet. Michael Hooper's just reaching out and has tagged Danny Kerr's arm, but Hooper's surely got to be part of the ruck there. I'm not sure that would be necessarily allowed. It's a close one. Could go either way, but again, you Danny Kerr, all of a sudden you've had a charge down kick, you're getting snapped. He should be on the England forwards now. Sort the ball out of one. Quick, slick ball. I mean, look how quick that ball from Ireland was today. It was a joke how quickly the ball was being transferred, and Danny Kerr at the moment is getting disrupted, and it will ripple through the side.
So Australia have the scrum. 13 minutes gone. It's been mainly Australia's. Well, it's been such a fascinating series because the first test, England started pretty well. Then Australia had a brilliant second half. Second test, England were completely dominant for the first 30. And now England haven't played any rugby. They've not had any ball hardly in the opening 13 minutes here on 5 Live. If you're just joining us, Ireland made history in New Zealand this morning. What a victory, 32-22. They win a series in New Zealand for the first time in their history. As Phipps finds Karevi, that's the value of having a big inside centre. He bundles over the gain line and goes up to the 10-metre line. Now Lolaseo inside to Baratini, hint of a forward pass, but referee was right there. Phipps now, a little snipe from the former Exeter man. Well tackled by Marcus Smith. 40 metres out Australia, 15 metres in from the left touchline. Again, the men in gold have the ball and have the territory. Phipps to Lolaseo. Round the back they go. Jamie George with the intercept. He's done brilliantly there, the Saracens hooker. They're slipping a lot, the players. I don't know whether that's a consequence of not much rugby being played on this surface. Kerr, that's a better kick from Kerr. It might just run out, and it is going to be dotted down by Australia, so it will be a goal line dropout, and the last England will get some ball, Ugo, and a bit of territory.
Yeah, it's been a poor attacking set from Australia. They had the scrum on the 10-metre line, went through 4 phases, through Karevi, through their forwards, and England end up turning the ball over. It's poor. The first test was littered with inaccuracy in that first half. It's been the Australians who've been inaccurate and had all the ball, all the territory. England have defended well, and now Australia, through Nick White, having to get rid of the ball.
Yeah, I mentioned it was fascinating, and it is, but it's not quite the same quality that we saw earlier on in Wellington when Ireland beat New Zealand. England have the ball on the 10-metre line. Kerr to the left to Johnny Hill. England have penalty advantage, so a chance to move it as the Wallabies don't roll away. Centre field, Kerr out to Marcus Smith. The trademark goose step gets it over to Stewart. Lovely ball to Freeman. That's what Stewart can do. And this is what Tommy Freeman can do. Excellent stuff from the rookies in the back three. Kerr out to Johnny Hill wearing number 5. But he's lost it, and so that good momentum is gone from the England attack. But we will go back for the penalty advantage. Australia not rolling away. England maybe with a chance for points from distance, or they'll kick into the corner mat.
Yeah, I mean, England look very set. They look very well organised. They've got the power, they've got the precision. The accuracy now and again, I guess, from little individual moments of passes in the back line hasn't been it, but up front you just feel like they're just slowly going through the gears. I mean, they've maybe only had 2 or 3 passages of play, but they look like they're getting over the gain line. Australia are banging on the door, but don't necessarily look like they're going to get through that England defence. It's going to take a lot out of Australia.
Well, England's speed of ball, that was their first proper attack, I felt. And it was gain line, speed of ball. Australians on the wrong side of the ball, which will annoy and frustrate Danny Kerr, who's the ball's available, not been able to move away. But Freddie Stewart, how he manipulates defenders in that 15-metre channel. It's a lovely goose step from Marcus Smith, who gets Freddie Stewart, who's coasting from one coast to another. Lovely show and go. Offload to Tommy Freeman. So the 2 youngsters combining, which gets in behind Australia, which creates this opportunity now. And as much as I talked to Lolaseo of his first kick, this is Owen Farrell's first kick off the tee, and this definitely is a banker.
He kicked superbly last week. One of his best performances in an England shirt for a little while. We know what incredible things he's achieved in his career for Saracens, England and the Lions, Farrell. And if he can get back to his very best, what a major asset that will be for England. He kicked 20 points in Brisbane. Here's his first shot in Sydney. 17 minutes gone. Australia 0, England 0. Up steps Farrell. Lovely strike. What a beauty that is. Australia 0, England 3. England are up and running. And Matt Dawson and Ugo Monye. The value there of England taking a lot of heat in this first 15 minutes, but then looking up at the scoreboard of being 3-0 up when they could be 10 points down, that's going to be huge.
Yeah, as soon as you've got to take every opportunity that you get at this level. If you want to win these test matches, you can't be missing those. As Ugo said, it should have been a banker. You're absolutely right. Got to take it.
Well, kicked off by Nick White. I think I was calling him Nick Phipps a moment ago, the London Irish scrum half. It is definitely Nick White, once of Exeter, winning his 50th cap, who's at 9 for the Wallabies. Now run back by Reece Hodge, just over the halfway line. White out to Slipper, who's recovered from that stinger to thunder into Chesham. Almost 20 minutes gone at the SCG. Lolaseo to Karevi, working the left touchline now with Hunter Paisami. Big collision with opposite number Guy Porter, but Paisami makes meters. There for Corabetti, who went to take it but left it for White. Now here's the other second row, Matt Phillips. Seen a lot of frost in this opening 18 minutes. There was a carry from Phillip. White switches nicely with Paisami. Just asking a few questions of the England defence. The Australians. Little kick through is gathered by Marcus Smith. Will he look to counter-attack? No, he kicks, trying to expose Australia in the backfield. They've got a few men back, Australia, but that's a pretty decent kick from Marcus Smith. Tom Wright links with Hodge. Hodge will belt it down the line. And will this go out of touch? It will, taken by Freddie Stewart. And is that a pretty decent kick from Reece Hodge, as long as he was inside his 22?
It was. The attack for both sides has shown some real good intent, but when we're looking at attack outcome, it's been poor from Australia. They've gone a few phases. You've got to compliment England's defence, which has been connected, has been putting pressure, they've been physical. So it's forcing Australia to give the ball back to England at the moment. So for all the attack through some of the phase that they've been through, some of that physical exertion, Australia got nothing to show for it. And after 20 minutes, England, without firing too many shots, have looked relatively stress-free.
Almost 20 minutes gone. Australia 0, England 3. Not quite the fireworks of Wellington when Ireland by now already had a lead over the All Blacks on their way to winning 32-22 and making some Irish rugby history. England's maul, is that going anywhere? Or are Australia going to get the scrum here? That is a bit of a mess of a maul, isn't it? But it's just about coming back, I think, for Danny Kerr, or is it not? Referee's been very patient here, and Kerr does get the ball, and he slaps it into the Sydney night sky. Good box kick, Danny Kerr. Forward comes Tom Wright, who takes it just short of the halfway line. White to Lolaseo, might be numbers here for the Wallabies. Karevi, Hooper, good hands out to Paisami. Corabetti desperate for it. The passing slightly behind, and that's a good tackle coming in on Corabetti by Marcus Smith, who tracked well. Inside the England half are Australia. White's kick is easily charged down, and it's a penalty. Australia played on the floor.
Attack outcome again. I was disappointed with England's defence actually from that kick chase, because Danny Kerr put up a brilliant box kick, was really well chased by Tommy Freeman, get way too narrow. Corabetti sprinting down the wing, and as you rightly pointed out, Marcus Smith, good aggressive tackle. Then Nick White, for some unknown reason, I mean, Dawes, you'll be able to tell me far better, you've gone 30 metres over the advantage line, and Nick White looks to roll the ball in the corner, gets charged down, and it's England's penalty again.
Yeah, I think he probably thought that there was no one in the backfield, and maybe there was an opportunity. He may have even had a call from one of his teammates, I guess. It was a strange decision given where they were and how fast the ball was coming back.
England have it just inside Wallaby territory. Good hands, Jamie George-Stewart to Freeman, and Freeman streaking down the left touchline. Kerr was inside tracking, so too was Knoll. Just couldn't look on his right shoulder there, Tommy Freeman. But for the second time in this opening 20-odd minutes, England have got some joy down that left flank, and Tommy Freeman's getting more ball today than he did practically the whole of his debut last week.
How easily have Australians been cut twice now? That's two phases that England have gone from right to left, and that combination of Freddie Stewart to Tommy Freeman's working. I mean, in terms of metres from his last two carries, he must be up to 50 or 60, so that level of incision which England is showing, unfortunately they've now given away a free kick, and Australia kicked this ball deep into England's half, and will be England's line-out.
Yeah, so it's compelling stuff, but it's a little bit on the cagey side, and just once or twice you feel the passes are a little bit slow, a little bit behind the receiving player. Both coaches, I think, will want a bit more.
Dawson, this third test, I mean, we saw the Ireland, New Zealand, where both teams looked to play with no fear, but is this game looking quite cagey, a bit tense, which is inhibiting some of the skills that we often see from these players?
We'll pick that up in a second, Matt, because Stewart has taken Smith's kick incredibly well. We know how good Freddie Stewart is under the high ball. Through comes Michael Hooper. Australia win the penalty, so Stewart's hard work comes to nothing as Jack Noel went in at the side. Australia will now have the penalty inside their 22. Matt, your views on sort of the first 22 minutes and how it's being played?
I think England are playing pretty much like they wanted to play last week. They're not messing around with any kind of possession. They're driving the line-outs, they're box kicking, they're kicking to wrist to get back on that occasion with a big up and under, and they want to squeeze Australia out with their defence. They're not, they haven't got a Jackling side, they haven't got Curry, they haven't got Underhill. They're interested in big hits, fan across around the pit, across the pitch, to say to Australia, go on then, what have you got? And Australia really haven't got an answer to that at the moment.
They're attacking inside their own half, working a shape which saw Corabetti come off the left wing onto the right side, and now they put Wright in some space, and he's got away. White is tracking on the inside from Wright's pass, back to Wright, Wright looking for the corner. What a wallaby try that is! From deep inside their own half, they've cut England apart and they lead in Sydney.
Well, there's your answer right there for Australia. Set piece move. One missed tackle, an individual error from England. One missed tackle, Australia. I mean, there was still a heck of a lot to do, but the highlight from a fairly bog standard wraparound move. Porter gets completely ruined in his position. But the 1-2 from Wright to White, very well commentated there, CD. That was not easy. Right to White to right, it was beautifully done.
On the right.
There you go. Another one.
It was a really nice set-piece play. They've got Corabetti who sat in behind and they use him, and he creates this one-on-one with Guy Porter, who missed that tackle. Defensively, England made two mistakes. Guy Porter and Tommy Freeman not connected. Guy Porter has to step in and hit Corabetti. Freeman sitting off. That gives that dog leg for them to attack in. And then when Freddie Stewart has got to make a tackle on Tom Wright passed the ball to Nick White. Stewart, if you're committed, Tom White does not get another touch. You tackle him, you get him out of the game. You're legally allowed to do that, but by Stewart allowing him to stay in the game creates that 2-on-1. Nick White passed the ball back to Wright.
Well, he's not.
And that's it. It's at this point here when Freddie Stewart is committed here. You tackle Wright.
Well,
it's 2v2 at the back.
I'm not sure. Yeah, it's 2v1, so he's not going to have in his mind to take a player out. You've got to look at Jack Noel there, who's coming on the cover to say, get out, go. I've got White on the inside. He's got to have the communication. Freddie Stewart, no fullback in the world in that position, flat-footed, is going to watch a pass and then wipe out a player like that.
Should do. Yeah, because by not taking him out,
but he was miles away. He was miles away from him.
Lolaseo for the conversion. Oh, what a kick. Noah Lolaseo, Mr. Banker, nails one from the right touchline. The right winger, Tom Wright, scoring from Nick White's pass. And Noah Lolaseo kicked the goal. Right, game on now. Australia 7, England 3 after 25.
Yeah, it's really well worked from Australia. It's taken them a little while to get into gear. 25 minutes, they bombed 2 opportunities in that 10. But that is a set-piece move. They scored that within one phase. That's something you rarely see in international rugby. So England will be disappointed in the ease of which they've allowed Australia to score that try. I do think a couple of soft defensive opportunities there have allowed and afforded Australia to get that second pass away.
Porter was your main man there with the error.
Porter and Freeman, though. Freeman has to get
so out of the line that if he makes that tackle, it's a big decision. Well done, congratulations. Stop it at source. But as anybody knows, if you're playing an up-out press, if you're playing an out-and-out press, if you're going to make that decision, you've got to make it, because it doesn't matter how good your team around you. If you miss that, the rest of the team are in proper trouble.
Because Corabetti wasn't going at much pace, was he? The move looked a bit stilted,
Yeah.
and suddenly he shrugged off Porter, got it away, and Wright had some space.
10, 12, 13 all hitting up and in, and Tommy Freeman is hitting up and out.
Farrell's kick-off, 7-3 to Australia. So Australia butchered some opportunities closer to England's 22, and then they attack from 60 metres and have got a 7.
Okay.
26 minutes gone. England have yet to get into their game, their patterns. There's still this sort of question about what kind of England this team are as White kicks. Corabetti is under it. It's very loose, and who else but Freddie Stewart gets up to bat it back. Kerr is nailed by Hooper. Does well, Danny Kerr, but it's been knocked on, has it? And Michael Hooper's getting a lot of pats on the back and credit from his teammates. It will be an Australia scrum.
It's a worry. We barely mentioned Michael Hooper's name in that second test. He's getting a lot of camera time. He's picking up these crumbs of some of these kicks. I mean, that Nick White kick wasn't a great kick, but that secondary effort from Hooper to get up and put pressure on Danny Kerr to force that knock on, you know, that type of energy off the back of, we talk about momentum, trying to keep hold of it, is to try forcing a mistake. Now scrum an opportunity for Australia to clear their lines.
Yeah, the very stark contrast in back rows, aren't they, with Australia do like to go for it right, they like to nick it, led by probably one of the world's greatest in Hooper, against an England side that are full of power and bulk and ballast. If there is a battle to be had around that fringe, the energy that Ugo's talking about, it feels it's going to come from Australia rather than a more lumbering England side.
Yeah, it's always the question. I think with England, since that 2019 World Cup run, what kind of team are they? They kicked a lot of ball in 2020 to squeeze results. Spoke in 2021 about opening up their game. In Brisbane, it was back to forward dominance. Eddie Jones was telling us on the pod, wasn't he, Hughes, that he wants England to be able to play in both ways, to try and bang the door down through the front, and if not,
dangerous,
come round the side.
That's dangerous, that is.
Because it's confusing.
Well, if you're good enough, you're good enough. You be your side. But if you are that good at what you do, doesn't matter what people know about you, you're going to win.
Be committed to your style. Yeah. Australia attack now. Karevi out the back, and now Hodge may have some space over on the right side. Again, a missed tackle. Porter's missed another one, and Hodge almost got away. White now to Karevi. Karevi tackled by Courtney Laws. 38 metres out. Australia. White waits a kick. Instead, he goes to the right. Good hands just about by Corabetti, who's shrugged off another England player, and he's gone into the 22. And Australia are almost rampant here. Half an hour on the clock in Sydney. Nice ball out the back, and through comes Frost, the number 4, who's had a good start to this game. On only his second appearance, his first start in gold. Penalty advantage to Australia. As England don't release, then they go and kill the ball. And Paul Williams might have a word with Courtney Laws here.
I don't know why you're here, because you're not the captain. You're not the captain.
And he's saying to Ellis Genge, get away, because he's going to talk to the captain, which is Courtney Laws.
That's the worst defensive set England have had this tour. 3, 4 missed tackles, soft tackles. Corabetti absolutely running a mark, got through Danny Kerr, went through Owen Farrell, ran over the top of Freddie Stewart. Billy Vunipola shrugging his head, not sure as to why the penalty's been given. You've got to show more of a clear release. So it was missed tackle, missed tackle, missed tackle, poor decision at the ruck, and we've just been talking about momentum and these purple patches. Australia have scored a try, they've been let off the hook, they've gone through a number of phases, the big power players are coming into it, and they've got an opportunity now, depending on what they decide to do. I'd be taking the points. This should be a simple kick for Lolosea, but it's starting to create, and as we can see, graphic popping up, the last 5 penalties, well, the last 2 have been England during that period where Australia have been able to get on the front foot.
I wonder what Eddie Jones is thinking right now, because wasn't it in Australia where he made those replacements in about 20 minutes?
Twice. Once Luther Burrell in the first test, Tamana Harrison in the third test, and neither were seen again.
And Porter is all over the show, bless him. He is. I mean, on that occasion, they're calling an up-and-out defence, and he was still at 6s and 7s. He needs to get his head in the game quick.
Well, Olasey is going to kick this for 10-3, as Ugo suggested. He does. 10-3 Australia. But the problem is, if Porter is struggling, Joe Marchant's not been seen for the last 2 weeks. And on the bench is Will Joseph, who's 19 and has played a couple of minutes of Test rugby.
Yeah, well, I don't think he will make the changes for that very reason. And I don't think he should either. It's a good experience to have, whether it's going well or badly. You've got to learn from these experiences and just get him to half-time.
Yeah, 9 minutes to go till half-time. Will Stewart trying to steal that from Paisami, who ran it back. And you've got to say, it's a role reversal, isn't it, from Brisbane last week, when England were excellent for the first 30. And even though Australia have missed opportunities, it has really been all the men in goal, bar the odd England flourish down that left touchline. Cleared to touch by the Wallabies will be an England line-out. Chance for them to get some phases going.
Reece Hodge coming in at 15. I know he's been out of favour and he's been the third choice fullback on this tour. But his ability, in fact, just to say, he's lumped the ball absolutely mile, but the ball's carried back into the 22, and despite Reece Hodge kicking the ball 60 metres, this is the much-needed 22 ball which England now have.
Absolutely, Oogs. This is the chance for England. Hill in the middle of the line-out. George goes inside to nobody, and that's been lost, and that accuracy from England is missing at the moment. Perfect set-piece opportunity. George peeled away. The ball went loose, but England do have a penalty now as Australia hold on, so they're going to get another chance either to eat into this Wallaby lead, which stands at 10-3, or they kick for the corner. What do you say, Matt Dawson, former England captain, in this context in the game? What would you be thinking?
Well, it is 3 points. I don't think England have been in the game. You can't tell me they've got momentum at the moment. It would be 3 points and start again. But listen, how many times have you asked me that question over our broadcasting career? And my score is not going to be good at that, Chris, even though you keep throwing it to me. But I would go 3 points.
But I'm not asking you what they're going to do, I'm asking you what you would do.
3 points, there you go.
So that's entirely your opinion. You say 3 points, and Owen Farrell agrees. He is going for goal to take the gap to 4 and just try to shift some momentum back in England's direction, because it certainly was with Australia, who were starting to cut the England defensive line with a little bit of will. 7 minutes to go until the break. All the latest from St Andrews, live commentary, the best coverage of the third round of the Open, the 150th Open. That'll be this afternoon after the conclusion of this Test match. T20 Blast Finals Day is over on 5 Live Sports Extra as Farrell bangs it through into the fans behind the goal. Australia 10, England 6, Ugo Monye.
Yeah, very much needed. An opportunity to settle down, get into your huddles, focus on that next play, which is just England just simplifying it, getting out of their half, getting to those drills. Billy Vunipola gave away a penalty, massive call for him to go for that next one.
Freeman is under it. He's got a bit of Freddie Stewart about him, which is weird to say that because they're both the same age, but they're both tall, they're both sort of natural fullbacks, but Freeman playing on the wing, and you expect, despite their inexperience, England to be well covered under the high ball, and Freeman took that kick-off well. Now Kerr has it at the back of the ruck, inside his own 22, and he sort of hooks this one towards touch. Well, it's a good distance from Danny Kerr, actually, but it stays in play. Noah Loloseo up against opposite number Marcus Smith. Loloseo shakes him off, 10-metre line inside the Wallaby half. White comes to the right and finds Karevi, and now Wright, who kicks it down the touchline, and Kerr has got into the backfield, and he will look for a clearance kick. Good touch that from Danny Kerr, actually. That takes play quite deep into Australian territory, and Australia will have the line out.
Yeah, good settling play from Danny. Needed to sort of win that kicking battle just to give England the position. Their defence has been, I was going to say solid, other than that set piece, and now we're into set piece. And you feel that the Aussies are, the homework that they've done is around set piece. You know, so far they have used 3 or 4 quite intricate moves and have had success with it.
And they've now pulled out Lewis Ludlam into that backline to give them an extra number in defence.
And Australia attack, and Ludlam be part of a better England defensive set. Wright spins it out to Corabetti into the forward pass. Referee Paul Williams was happy, and Corabetti marches into the England half. On the halfway line now from White's ball to Loloseo, now Karevi. That one went loose. It was hacked forward by Tom Wright, and Tommy Freeman mops it up inside his own half. What have England got here? They're 10-6 down, and they've finally got a little bit of possession for the first time in a while. Guy Porter out to Freddie Stewart, who checks inside and makes half a break and gets an offload away to Porter, who drops it. But he is so dangerous with the ball in hand, Freddie Stewart. We speak about him as a defensive fullback, but he's had some lovely touches in attack, but the ball is back in the possession of the men in gold. Karevi to White, Tupou out the back, and that's been lost by Slipper. So England will have the scrum. Lots of handling errors, being in this game struggling to really get going.
We barely mentioned Samu Karevi in the second test because Australia didn't get much ball. They lost the battle at the breakdown and they struggled to muscle up front. We mention him all the time at the moment because I think there's a clear strategy to try and get to those wider channels. They're playing so much wider and test that connection of 10, 12, 13. Smith, Farrell, Porter, and whether it's Stewart out wide or Jack Noel this side, and Danny Kerr's been pulled off after 36 minutes.
Well, there you go. We mentioned it. We maybe didn't discuss it being Danny Kerr, but you know, that's reflection on Eddie Jones being pretty unhappy about the way England are playing. You know, I know it's difficult. I know he's big mates of yours and on the pod and all the rest of it, but he does he has struggled with game management, you know, at the highest level, and I think Eddie Jones is looking at this, and unfortunately the scrum half does tend to get blamed for the way that a team plays.
Too much White, guys.
Yeah, that is not a good sign for DC, unfortunately.
Well, Eddie Jones told us on Monday that he'd be coming off 55 minutes 48 seconds. He's come off 20 minutes earlier than that. I mean, England's inability to be able to function the way in which they should do. I mean, Dawes, you tell me. I mean, Danny has been harassed at the breakdown. Is that because the lads up front aren't doing the job, or is it him just not having his finest 36 minutes today?
I would say, you know, okay, he's made a couple of individual errors, which has not helped. Unfortunately, because they're out in the open, everybody sees the error, which is, or it's a little bit like the goalkeeper makes one mistake and everyone remembers it. But you know, it is the scrum half's responsibility to get the team in the right areas by hook or by crook. And if they're not giving him quick enough ball, he's got to speak to them and say, fellas, you've got to sort this out. I need better ball, or we need to play in a different area, or stop giving those mistakes. And Eddie's obviously not seen that from Danny in that 37 minutes.
Yeah, big moment. Danny Kerr taken off, Jack Van Poortvliet on. England won the penalty from the scrum. It was a free kick that became a penalty for repeated Australian offences. And after all of the turbulence of this first half, England can go in at half-time just a point down. Farrell won't miss this, surely. And it just sneaks inside, hits the post as I say that. It was almost bang in front. We're going to have to stop doing this, Oogs, aren't we? Preempting the kick, because Farrell has hit the post and it stays at 10-6. But England win another penalty as Australia are caught in possession.
Courtney Lawes, his work at the breakdown, his ability to scan. He has come from the backfield as Nick White is trying to run the ball out. Look how quick he is to identify, then get onto the body shape, on the ball, not on the man, and present such a clear picture. I mean, that's 5 Australian defenders trying to clear him out. And our decision of England, which has changed in the last 30 seconds, was a bankable 3 points. They've kicked the ball deep into Australia's 22 and opting for a line-out.
Australia 10, England 6, 30 seconds left of this first half. And as Ugo Monyo was saying, it should have been 10-9. Farrell missed. England with another penalty. And now they're only 5 metres out. And the place where they've been at their most profitable, England, has been the rolling maul all series. They've scored 2 tries from the maul. They get a lovely drill as George finds Chesham. England are going to roll Australia over here, are they? Ludlam peels away, almost up to the line. England can go into the lead at half-time, would you believe? 8 seconds left of this first half. Genge comes around the corner. Another penalty advantage. England asking serious questions now, right at the end of this first half. It's there for Billy Vunipola at the back of the ruck, only a metre or 2 out. Now Ludlam, who had a go a minute ago, he drives on. still penalty advantage being played in England's favour. Van Poortvliet whizzes it out to Farrell, out to Stewart to Tommy Freeman, great angle, Freeman, he's going to score, is he? Somehow he stopped short. I don't know how he didn't score. He had a great effort from Tommy Freeman, but he was just about denied by despairing Wallaby defence. Deep in added time at the end of the first half. Australia 10, England 6. England pressed through Courtney Laws, who's just short of the line. Genge, who scored in Perth. He's looking to score again in Sydney. He might be held up. Another penalty advantage. Maybe yellow card coming, but first England want the try. Van Poortvliet goes to the left. Again it's Freeman, and this time he does score. Freddie Stewart's over. They needed the big man wearing 15 to crash over, and England will lead at half-time thanks to Freddie Stewart.
What a great opportunity and option that was. For all money, Tommy Freeman is going over. He gets tackled, sniped by Tom Wright. You're thinking, just stick your arm out, makes a good decision, recycles the ball. Then it's about patience. And I've got to say, Jack Van Poortvliet's only been on a minute. It's his vision which sees it, and it's a great dissecting line from Freddie Stewart, someone who's burst onto the scene in the last 18 months. Is perhaps now down as one of England's most important players. In your generation, it was Matt Perry. In my generation, it was Mike Brown. But the new kid on the block, Freddie Stewart, he is durable, he's reliable, and massively consistent. And what a huge try, massive moment for England in this third deciding test.
Well, the big difference for me from that passage of play was the forwards, took it upon themselves to make their own decisions. It didn't need an awful lot of management. It was the sort of the kick up the backside, whether the messages have come on. But Genge, Vunipola, George, Laws, that all of a sudden they were taking the carries, making the inches, which gave them the momentum.
Owen Farrell just pulls it to the left, so he's missed a couple of kicks in this first half, Owen Farrell. And right, let's try and sum that first half up. Australia 10, England 11. Scrappy and cagey, but plenty of moments as well to enjoy. A brilliant try from Tom Wright put the Wallabies clear, but England came back and scored on the stroke of half-time through Freddie Stewart, who continues to impress at this level. And two teams who have been hard to separate in this series are only separated by a point at half-time, Matt Dawson. Australia 10, England 11.
Yeah, I think we all sort of wanted another 10 minutes at that intensity and that level. Both teams really up for the fight, but again, crucial little errors from either side at this level are going to be costly. And Nick White getting turned over, off the ball, off the post, clear the lines, get it away, start again, relief, got turned over, England go to the corner and score. I think that was pretty much the only time England have been close to the Australia line, and their bulk and their power has definitely paid off in that selection.
Yeah, it's been massive for Dave Rennie. He's gone a half of international rugby without having to make a substitution. No injuries, despite James Slipper going down early. Australia looked deadly in the opening 10 minutes. Loads of possession, lots of quick ball. Lacked that precision and accuracy. England come back into it, and I think for me the game plan for England has to be territory, because they've just shown when the clock's gone into the red, when they get into the 22 they can be deadly. For Australia, a different game plan, play to the width. They have got so many easy yards, some poor defence and some cracking attack, so it's going to be a second half of contrasting styles with it all on the line.
Yeah, you mentioned Dave Rennie, who hadn't made a sub, but Eddie Jones taking off Danny Kerr. A tricky first 36 minutes, Danny Kerr. He was substitute. Jack Van Poortvliet on. England scoring a try right on half-time through Freddie Stewart. So we have a captivating second half and the final half of this test series to come, with England slender leaders by 11 points to 10.
Yes, how crucial will that score prove to be at the stroke of half-time? Thanks to Ugo Monyo, Matt Dawson and Chris Jones. We'll be back with them for second half commentary shortly over on 5 Live Sports Extra right now, as full commentary of the T20 Blast finals day at Edgbaston. Yorkshire against Lancashire is the first semi-final, and Dan Norcross can bring us the latest.
Yes, well, Yorkshire won the toss, and rather surprisingly elected to bat. They got off to an absolute flyer against the seam bowlers, and then when the spinners came in, they lost 3 quick wickets. Dawid Malan and Harry Brook going in quick succession. 33 for Dawid Malan, just the 2 for captain Harry Brook. But since then, Kola Cadmore and Shadab Khan have really got the afterburners on. They're 123 for 3 in the 14th over. It's a pitch that looks like it's going to take spin, and the seam bowlers are going to struggle. It's a glorious day, but these are pretty good conditions for batting in. Where are we up to now? Just coming to the end of the 14th over. Yorkshire 123 for 3. Kola Cadmore on 65.
Thanks, Dan. A glorious day up here at St Andrews as well. The penultimate round of the 150th Open is underway. We'll be talking about that in a few moments' time after the latest 5 Live news with Alison Acton.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
We're all being advised to change our routines on Monday and Tuesday as the UK prepares for unprecedented hot weather. The Met Office says temperatures in England could reach 40 Celsius, and Downing Street says the government's emergency Cobra committee will meet this afternoon. As well as the Met Office red warning, the UK Health Security Agency has issued its highest level 4 heat alert to health and care bodies, warning illness and death could occur among the fit and healthy. Dr Jen Lockwood is an emergency medical consultant at Harrogate Hospital.
I am worried that we're going to have a surge in attendances over this weekend and into next week. And it's going to put an enormous pressure on not just the emergency department, but the system as a whole, both GPs, communities and well into the hospital as well. The whole system is going to become under pressure.
Londoners have been told not to travel at all on Monday and Tuesday if they can. Elsewhere, rail passengers in England and Wales have been warned they should only travel if necessary during the heatwave, while some schools will close early next week and some hospital appointments will be cancelled. It comes as thousands of firefighters are battling wildfires in Portugal, Spain and southwestern France, which is already in the grip of the heatwave. Thousands of people have been forced to leave their homes, and in northern Portugal, a pilot died when his water-bombing plane crashed near the Spanish border. In other news, Russian missiles have struck a number of cities across central and eastern Ukraine. 3 people were killed and 15 others injured in the central city of Dnipro when a cruise missile hit Ukraine's leading space rocket and satellite factory. Officials also say more than 50 missiles were fired at the southern city of Nikopol, killing 2 people. Our correspondent in Kyiv, Joe Inwood, says Ukraine is pleading for more weapons from the West.
They have been asking constantly, basically, for more hardware, more equipment to be delivered to the front, and it has been coming. These new HIMARS rocket systems that we've talked about a lot recently, those are making a difference, but still they need more. They are very much outgunned by the Russians, certainly in terms of weight of firepower.
And Conservative MPs are assessing how the 5 remaining candidates in the party's leadership race performed in their first TV debate last night. One snap poll of viewers suggested Tom Tugendhat came out on top. He's currently, though, in the bottom position with MPs who will vote again on Monday.
BBC 5 Live.
The voice of sport.
In 1860, a field of 8 professional golfers held the very first Open Championship to be won by Willie Park Sr.
Now 162 years and 149 Opens later, the greatest players from every corner of the world descend on the Kingdom of Fife to compete for the Claret Jug.
If you feel sorry for yourself, you might as well pack your bags and go home.
It's definitely one tournament on the calendar this year that you'd like to be in the mix come Sunday.
When you win the Open, you've won the toughest test of all.
The 150th Open, live from St Andrews.
Coverage continues this morning from 10:30 on 5 Live and BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport.
Yes, and we'll have full commentary of the penultimate round of the 150th Open after the second half of the series decider between Australia and England. Australia 10, England 11, just 1 point in it at half-time in Sydney. We'll be back with Chris, Ugo and Matt shortly. But here at St Andrews, as I've said, it's third round day in glorious sunshine. Former European Tour player Andrew Murray joins me now ahead of the main protagonists setting out on the course, Andrew, and it is a stunning day. We've talked about the sunshine, about how glorious this golf course is, what a beautiful part of the country, but I think this is the best day weather-wise yet.
Well, certainly is, Kat. Brilliant blue skies. I mean, hardly a cloud. If there is, clouds are very light and wispy. Wind's down a little bit, although it's just changed direction literally in the last hour or so after I came in, and there's going to be some seriously low scoring today. People that have played obviously for the first 2 days of this championship that made the cut have got a little bit more used to the idea, used to the course. They've had two days to practice in competition, obviously. The pin positions are tricky, but there's low scoring to be had. There's definitely some very low scoring already this morning.
Yeah, I was going to bring you up to date with the low scoring, but I've got no internet and I can't have a look at the leaderboard right now. But I saw Kevin Kisner was 7 under. 7
under after 15, and he's just set up a birdie opportunity at the 16th. The wind's twitched a little bit. The wind makes a massive difference around this golf course, Kat. You and I have been trooping around for the last 2 days, and you know it's moved a couple of times. It's back and more in favour of the back 9 holes, really. So the guys played this morning into the wind, and they've got the wind coming a little bit down the back on the back 9, so it makes some of those holes a little bit more easy. But of course, with the bouncy conditions, it's still really unpredictable.
It's definitely a shorts and t-shirts day out there. Big names in contention at the top of the leaderboard, where Cameron Smith, the Australian, sits overnight 13 under par, 2 shots ahead of Cameron Young, the American, making his Open debut. He's on 11 under. Rory McIlroy and Victor Hovland tied for 3rd spot at the moment on 10 under with Dustin Johnson, former world #1, and the current world #1, Scotty Scheffler, on 9 under and 8 under respectively, and England's Tyrrell Hatton on 8 under par. Interesting to see Tyrrell up there.
Well, fantastic that Tyrrell's in there. He obviously is one, well, I say obviously to those that are in golf, obviously, but to those that aren't aware, he's won 2 championships around here, of the Dunhill Links Championship in the autumn, so very different conditions. But the nuances of this golf course, Kat, are such that the more you play it, the more you learn in whatever conditions you play, and it throws up all sorts of different wind directions and different firmness of turf, and the bounces are unpredictable. That's what links golf is. So Tyrrell's got a great record here.
Oh, he's looking very much at home out there at the moment. They're the big names in contention right at the top of the leaderboard, but the biggest name in golf won't be here today. Tiger Woods missed the cut yesterday, an emotional moment as he bowed out in front of an adoring crowd on the 18th. He says he'll probably play in an Open again, but probably not at St Andrews, because the next time we're here likely to be maybe 2030, and by that point he says that it'll be beyond him. But just where were you when Tiger went over the Swilcan Bridge yesterday, raising his cap to the crowds? I was way down the peninsula, probably on the 9th or 10th, miles away from all of it, but listening to the coverage on the radio, listening to the commentary and listening to that moment, the hairs on the back of my neck were standing up.
And me too. I was really lucky. I was right on the 17th green, left of the 17th green with Big John Murray. We were with the Jordan Spieth game right behind Tiger's, so I saw it all unfold literally in front of me. I saw the tip of the cap by Rory to Tiger as they passed each other on the fairway. The noise was absolutely sensational.
Wonderful stuff. Let's talk about Rory. You mentioned him. He was setting out on his second round, his first hole of the second round, as Tiger was walking back. How do you assess his performance yesterday? And he is just 3 shots off the lead and great scoring potential today.
Yeah, very calm, very assured. He probably, by his own admission, let a couple go towards the end. He got a bit of a bonus by birdieing the notoriously difficult 17th. He probably could and should have birdied the 18th. He hit it alongside the green. He was going into the par 5 14th with an iron, didn't make 4 there, so made just a par 5, which sounds just a par 5, as if, you know, the pin was located just behind a bit of a bump. It was really difficult to get at, but he probably feels like he left a couple of shots out there, but he looks so relaxed. He's playing great, he's swinging really well, his putting looks assured. It's going to be a fantastic, I mean, a really captivating next 2 days. Can't wait.
And what of our leader, Cam Smith, the Australian, he won the Players' Championship early on this year, finished third at the Masters, playing in that final group after going in the water, didn't he? And it's felt for a while like he's a man with a major championship in him and coming soon.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. His record speaks for itself. Winner of the Players' Championship, won that in incredible style. Again, he looked very assured. I was with him for the last 10 holes of his match yesterday. He looked so assured with the putter, very calm, and he'll take some shifting. He really will.
I think we were talking about this last night at the close of play. Who's going to bring it home over the next couple of days? I think Cam Smith is going to get the job done. Who's your money on?
My heart's on Rory, really. I think Rory to win here would be absolutely fantastic for the game. It would be great if Cam Smith were to win as well, or Tyrrell Hatton came from behind, or somebody else came from behind. Matt Fitzpatrick is not a million miles away, so somebody's going to come out of the pack and really be in the final group or two tomorrow, I have a feeling. But I've got to say Rory. I'm going to stick with Rory.
Stick with Rory, it's the popular vote. Andrew Murray, thank you so much. We're about to send you out onto the links, aren't we? You're bounding around between the movers and shakers today, and there's going to be plenty of them because the conditions are set fair for some low scores out there. It's Saturday at the Open Championship and it's going to be gripping. That all comes live from St Andrews after the second half of the deciding test in the series between England and Australia in Sydney. Australia trail England by just 1 point at half time, and it is game on. Chris Jones, back over to you.
Thank you very much, Kat. Yes, the players coming out any moment now. As you say, Australia 10, England 11, 1 try each. Tom Wright for the Wallabies, and right on the stroke of half time, Freddie Stewart powering over for England. Eddie Jones making a change on the 36-minute mark. Danny Kerr hauled off, Jack Van Poortvliet on. Will that help turn around England's fortunes? And Matt Dawson, World Cup winner, with us on 5 Live as always. We just said off air, it looks a bit like team number 6 in the world against team number 5, doesn't it?
And to scrap around a little bit, battling to play with the big guns. You do feel France, Ireland, South Africa maybe are just a little bit ahead of the rest. A little bit of an arm wrestle so far. It would be, it's a fascinating half-time chat for both coaches now, because they've just had, there's no way that either of these sides have played like the opposition thought they were going to play. So now they've had 40 minutes just to dissect it, maybe a couple of changes, and it'll be interesting to see who gets first blood.
Telling that you didn't drop the name New Zealand in your list of best teams in the world. That shows how the mighty have fallen. Beaten today in Wellington, losing the series at home to an inspired Ireland. The Irish winning 32-22, capping one of the finest achievements in Irish rugby history, as we were hearing from Shane Horgan earlier on 5 Live. Equal, if not better, to their Grand Slams they've won in their history. Right, the players are out. And Ugo Monyo, what do you want from England in this second half? Because for a lot of that first half, it was Australia with the territory and possession dominance.
I want England to play a sense of control, which they exhibited in the second test. I think territory is going to be so key for them. And the other thing which has been quite a significant factor in these matches is discipline. Penalties or cards, that could be the margins which this game is won by. And just I say that, England give away a penalty 10 seconds into their second half.
Yeah, right on cue. We've been doing that all game, haven't we? Farrell won't miss this, he misses. Lolaseo, it's an easy kick, misses. Got to keep it disciplined. Penalty. England give away the penalty at the restart after Australia claimed it. England going in at the side or going around offside, and Reece Hodge will clear up to the halfway line. One change for England, as we touched upon. Danny Kerr off, Jack Van Poortvliet on. And when will the other replacements be used by the two head coaches? Taken by Nick Frost in the Wallaby line. Now they attack from deep with Koroibete throwing a wild ball out to Tom Wright. That's loose. and Freeman rushed up to make the tackle, and Wright just managed to shake him off.
Way better defence. Spoke about connectivity just offline there. Ellis Genge with a poor penalty, but defensively England set up loads better. Guy Porter at times was rushing up. Tommy Freeman was sat back, but they were all connected there, which then allowed Australia to throw that bit of that Hail Mary, but let off the hook. A two-man hit from Ellis Genge and Courtney Lawes. Courtney Lawes 6 inches higher. It could be.
It's a big collision. I think Genge is the one initially penalised for having an arm around the neck, and there's no more foul play decreed by the officials. So Australia with the penalty kick almost up to the 22. Who's going to strike first in this second half in Sydney at the SCG, the Sydney Cricket Ground? Not often a rugby union venue, but one of the great homes of Australia cricket. And the Wallabies attack in centre field. Karevi finds Valentini. Ludlam has to get out the way so White can link with Slipper. Slipper almost up to the 22. Hill makes the tackle along with Stewart. White comes to the right and takes it almost up to the 22 with his runners. There for Taniela Tupou up against Billy Vunipola. Good bust from the tight head into the 22. He goes and puts it on a plate for White. Now the Wallabies have an opportunity as Paisami attacks and goes almost past Owen Farrell. Deep inside the England 22. White switches with Wright, who caught 15 metres out. They may have numbers to the right, Australia, as White finds Tupou again. Good start to the second half from the men in gold, who trailed by 1. As White finds Wright again, and he gets it out the back to Corabetti. Good tackle. Jack Noel on Corabetti. The ball is loose, but it's picked up by the impressive Nick Frost on his first start for his country. 3 minutes into this second half. Paisami throws a dummy, tackled by Jamie George. Textbook from the Saracen. There for Nick White. Lolaseo goes inside to the blindside flanker Wilson. White to the right, and Samu Karevi, as the Wallabies string together phase upon phase and ask real questions of this English defence. There was a gap there for Nick White, but it's a penalty to England as Australia go in at the side, and England's body language. Look at Freddie Stewart demanding that England keep their chins up, and they managed to get the penalty and withstand that barrage of Australian pressure as Farrell clears the touch from the penalty.
Yeah, a little bit more strategic rugby from Australia, going the same way, going all the way to the edges. White there attacking down the right hand side, and it's effective, you know, whereas in the first half Australia weren't making a dent into England. Australia all of a sudden are getting a little bit of momentum, but one loose ruck, one shabby clear of Billy Vunipola, and you know, England escape.
And the point Hugo was making about discipline, Australia on the front foot asking questions, and Harry Wilson just with a, you know, egregious penalty for coming in at the side. Van Portfleet wearing 21 after Kerr was taken off in the first half. His box kick is taken by Tom Wright, the Wallaby try scorer. Might have numbers out here, Australia. Lolaseo throws a wild pass to Paisami. Paisami tries to stand up Porter, who again is shaken off. He's missed a few tackles today, Porter, but Australia don't get clear, and so they go to the boot of Noah Lolaseo. Van Portfleet is in the backfield, the Leicester rookie, who's made a big impression on this tour. And he sends up a high Gary Owen. No one's under that ball. Freddie Stewart, who of course takes it, the brilliant Stewart. On halfway line, bit of quick ball for England. Van Portfleet, Jamie George with some footwork. Great bust, Jamie George. Just about tackled by Tupou, but England have front foot ball now. Laws out the back to Farrell, and Porter loses it. And Noel has to dive on the loose ball under pressure from Marika Corabetti, and England's attack has lost its momentum.
It's a real shame there. Freddie Stewart in the air, Jamie George with his footwork, and then Owen Farrell trying to get out to the width, and Guy Porter unfortunately not able to handle that ball because they seem to have numbers out there. And just a few seconds later, because it is a slow ruck, Jack Van Portfleet's gone back to the air.
And the ball has been knocked on by Lolaseo. The handling errors astonishing from both sides. Noel almost burst clear. Good chance this for England as Porter finds Billy Vunipola for the loose ball. They may have numbers here. Farrell though will go to the boot, and that one is going to dribble out of play. Puts pressure on Australia to throw into the line out. But it will be Wallaby possession, albeit very close to their own goal line, Matt Dawson.
Yeah, England don't look particularly connected. You know, we use that word earlier today when we were describing Ireland, weren't we? And just everybody knew where everybody else were, even on the counter-attack set piece. Porter is at 6s and 7s, rushing out the line in defence, missing tackles, finding himself at scrum half at times. And Farrell taking the ball too deep on that occasion, taking it a little bit flatter, but grubbering it through, giving the ball away. You just think that's just not a tactic.
Australia are on their own goal line, but they did win good line-out ball. Looks like Luke Cowan-Dickie is on as Jamie George gets the hook after 45 minutes. Australia 10, England 11. White for touch, and he finds it, but England will have a line-out. 25, 30-odd metres from Australia's line and a good set-piece opportunity.
Good drills from Australia. Nick White with a decent touch finder, getting the ball up to about 35 metres. It's the type of effort on effort that England really need now in attack. They've had a couple of line-outs. Get another opportunity now through Luke Cowan-Dickie, his first throw in after just coming off the bench of Jamie George.
A score for England here could be huge, but they've lost the line-out, England, as Australia get up at the front of the set-piece, and it's back in Wallaby possession. And it's just been one of those games where every time one team threatens to get a bit of momentum, they lose it, normally through their own mistakes.
Might be a little look at a tackle here from Johnny Hill.
No, he's trying to work it back. Okay. No, not
At the
yet.
back of the ruck, Nick White is taking his time to clear his lines, and he boots it up into the Sydney sky under a bit of pressure from Courtney Laws. Now here's Freddie Stewart in the backfield. Again, one of England's most impressive performers. This guy's made for Test rugby. Jack Van Porfley finds Billy Vanapola. Ellis Genge throws a dummy and bundles past Samu Karevi. That's much better from Genge in England. He did that last week to Michael Hooper. He's taken down the Wallaby talisman one by one. Now Jack Noel gets into the game and takes the play up to the 10-metre line. Van Porfley pops it up again to Genge. He's got the bit between his teeth. 7 minutes into this second half. Van Porfley finds Stewart, who acts as the pivot to find Farrell. Out the back now to Marcus Smith. He's been quiet, but that's a good ball to Freeman, who's having a decent game on his second cap, Tommy Freeman. Almost up to the 22 are England. Van Porfley comes to the right and finds Genge again, who's carried 3 times. Astonishing stuff from Ellis Genge as he goes into the 22. Advantage being played as Australia infringe, and England will have the penalty. 6
phases England went there. Ellis Genge, 3 contributions, 3 huge carries, skittled that Australian backline. And England, bit of problem now. Jack Van Porfley's that dislocated finger. But let's focus on the positives. That is Ellis Genge on the Australian vice-captain Samu Karevi. He is airborne. We often talk about leadership and what it looks like. Is it the words that you say or is it the actions that you take? And England in a real arm wrestle with Australia. And Ellis Genge, time and time after again. I mean, what a season he's had. Captain Leicester Tigers to Gallagher Premiership title just a few weeks ago, and really now stamping his approval or his sense of authority in this second half.
Yeah, much better phase play from England. Just creates a tiring defensive set for Australia, looking very disjointed. If England get through any kind of multiple phases and keep their discipline, this should be a 30 minutes for England to enjoy and just, tick the scoreboard over and win the game, get yourself home for a rest.
Farrell for 3 to take England to a 14-10 lead and give them a platform from which to build with only half an hour to go. Farrell slams it through. Australia 10, England 14. Half an hour left in Sydney, Matt Dawson.
Yeah, nicely done. Owen Farrell, always good to get your first kick over into the half and just steady the scoreboard. You think, if you looked at the highlights of the game so far, you'd think Australia were like 10 points up still, but England know how to stay in the game. The question is, do they know how to win in the last seconds of the game when it's tight, away from home?
And I wonder if those Ellis Genge carries will just spark the rest of the England forwards who haven't played with that snarl they had in Brisbane. Genge always felt was saying, come on guys, come with me here. There's a test series to be won in Australia. As Van Porfley kicks. Chased by Freeman, forward comes Hodge, who takes it well. lurching forward. Cowan-Dickie with a very slick steal, and the referee was happy he was legal, and Freeman has kicked for himself and it just runs out of play. But Luke Cowan-Dickie was quick as a flash there getting the turnover.
So quick it looked illegal. But either way, it is play on. And that type of energy, which you just mentioned there from Ellis Genge, deliberate actions at breakdowns, really trying to win the game, taking it to Australia. Tommy Freeman, I think it's been so impressive. So good in attack, making meters, good decision making there. I mean, that's a penalty to Australia on reflection. Luke Cowan-Dickie's very quick to the breakdown, but only actually gets hold of possession when he goes off his feet. Split-second decision for the ref to make. England get away with it. Australia line out 25 metres out.
Yeah, if you're going to do something, do it quickly. And so I think the referee, it happened so fast that he couldn't keep up. But yeah, as you say, Hugo, Cowan-Dickie could easily have given a penalty away. Instead, his intervention has helped take play into Wallaby territory. It's taken in the line out by Australia, who get a little bit of a shunt going forward with their rolling maul. They trailed by 4, the home side. 30 minutes just under left in Sydney. 5 Live Sport from the BBC. BBC Sounds and your radio online. As Hunter Paisami finds Marika Koroibete, who's trying to skin Noel. He's almost got away. He throws the ball inside, but he was out of play. And England will have the line out, and neither side really can string more than a good flash of play together.
Good exiting option. Australia have made it up to England's 10-metre line. I love seeing these one-on-one contests between wingers. Koroibete against Jack Nowell, 2 players cut from the same cloth, dynamic, quick, powerful. Jack Nowell at his best defensive duties there.
Who would you have in your back 3, Hugo? England at the moment.
If everyone's fit?
Yeah.
Well, Freddie Stewart absolutely nailed on, and then you've got the likes of Johnny May, who was selected to go on tour, but unfortunately got COVID's not been able to feature. Tommy Freeman, I think, has been electric. I think the one thing, if I was to critique the England back 3, something that I love, just where's your 6th gear? You need someone of out-and-out pace just to get that balance. We can talk about balance of front rows and back rows. It's the balance of this England back 3. It's industrious. Not very many mistakes in there. They work incredibly hard, but that would be where I'd be looking to improve. But they currently don't have those players on this tour at the moment to be able to make those. Well, actually, I say that Henry Arundel's all right, isn't he?
Yeah, and I wonder when Eddie Jones might use Henry Arundel, who is on the bench and made such a startling start to his Test career in Perth. Stewart runs it back from an Australian kick. Australia looking for that ball at the ruck, but it's there for Van Poortvliet. Out to Stewart. Now Marcus Smith out the back. Good ball to Ollie Chesham, who's gone through. Much better connection from England. We've not seen much of Marcus Smith. They then give a penalty away, and it goes back, Matt, to that point about every time one of these teams does something good, they then make an error or give a penalty away to completely halt their momentum.
Yeah, it's just that I can't put my finger on it. These are crucial moments in games. Now, at club level, maybe a referee in a club game might have let that go, might have. But you've got to be in that mindset when you're playing international rugby that things are slightly different. That's a brilliant break. That's a great little flick on from Marcus Smith to Chesham, and in the forefront of Chesham's mind there should be line break. It's got to be on for someone else, so set it up beautifully and let the team play.
Australia's line out is loose, and then Lolaseo knocks on, and Smith comes away with it. Marcus Smith, and he might be under the post. I think he's going to get there. Marcus Smith against Koroibete. What a score from Smith. That's what he can do. So quiet all game, and then he explodes into life. And that is the try that maybe takes England to another series victory in Australia.
It's the battle of the 210s. Lolaseo in possession of the ball. He gifts it, gift wrapped to Marcus Smith. Not a single goose step needed off this. This is Australia ball on the halfway line. Poor drills, poor delivery. Marcus Smith pirouettes and accelerates away from 3 would-be Australian defenders. Speak about those small moments and margins. Inaccuracy has been littered right across the 60 minutes. But at this point, absolutely devastating potential consequences for Australia, because Marcus Smith, not quite under the sticks, but this is a guaranteed 7 points now for England.
Has he definitely? He's not looking at TMO at all here for a Luke Cowan-Dickie little knock on.
Don't think so. Just seeing replays of Marcus Smith celebrated. It was a celebration of pure elation, but a small bit of relief. He's kind of flown under the radar, hasn't he, for these test matches? Wasn't at his best in the first. Owen Farrell was really prominent in that second, but he's found his moment right now, hasn't he?
I mean, they're the moments of brilliance. They're the little sparks that, when you've got the bulk up front, when you've got that sort of dominance, you need those, you know, a Marcus Smith, a Brian O'Driscoll, you know, someone a little bit special just to do those types of things and know where to be at the right time.
And Hugo was saying that England's back three might be short of a bit of speed, but the fly half showed what he's got with his gas, and Farrell kicks the goal, and England, well, they've got an 11-point lead with 25 minutes left, and surely they'll see this out, and surely they'll become just the second England team to win a series on Australian soil and replicate the success of 2016, a famous series win which involved so many of these players still around today.
But Chris, this isn't a case of turn your radios off, this match is done. We saw this in the first test when England were 5 points up, Australia down to 14 men, and England seemed to lose it. This is not me saying that England are the same team they were 2 weeks ago, but this game is still very much on.
Maka Vunipola comes on for Ellis Genge. 23.5 minutes left on 5 Live. Huge day. St Andrews coming up. Leaders out a little bit later on. Cameron Smith, Rory McIlroy just 3 behind. Our team of Ian Carter, Cat Downs, and our brilliant reporters and commentators will be taking you through every shot as the 150th Open really hots up. Australia now have to make something happen as they attack on the halfway line. Nice little pop pass from Angus Bell, who is on for slipper, as Dave Rennie makes some changes. Loliseo, he gets a good ball away to Frost, who's gone galloping into England's half. Australia trail by 11, but it's knocked on then. And the handling errors in this game. This time it's Alan Alatoa, and it will be a scrum to England.
No, it's not.
Yeah, yet again, the pressure from England, even when Australia make a little bit of inroads there, the speed in which England can get their white line across the field in defence is very, very impressive. They're not bothered about competing for ball unless it's very, very obvious. They just want a defensive line. They're going to say to Australia, you can keep running around until, you know, that whole sort of rope-a-dope feel. Just keep doing it, boys. Keep doing it, and we'll keep tackling and tackling and tackling. The regroup on the retreat, very impressive from England.
Got to understand in defence what the opposition are doing in attack. Australia have shown their hand. They're going to play. So territory control, and Dawson's point there about breakdown, unless it's 100%, do not give Australia easy opportunities, because they do have enough quality to be able to show what they showed in patches during the first half.
Van Portfleet feeds onto a tatty bit of SCG grass. You can actually see the outline of the cricket pitch as Australia flood through and win the penalty, and Valentini tempted to go quickly, doesn't. And I imagine Australia will, what would they do here? Matt Dawson always asks you this one. Kick for the corner, 11 down, or take the 3?
It's a bit of naivety there from England's forward pack. Little bit of retreat, slightly wheeling scrum. Lewis Ludlam there tries to put the ball, just nudge the ball out as if to say to Jack Van Portfleet, oh, go on then, tidy that. No way. You keep that ball in the scrum, it collapses, you reset, you start again. You don't put the number 9 under that pressure and isolate him. Little bit of inexperience has cost England plenty of yards and possession near the England line.
And that's an excellent kick now by Reece Hodges. Kicked the ball 7 metres out from England's try line. You can talk about physicality, tactics, but that mental consistency you need to show. England just switched off at that last scrum. Australia not showing that dominance all game, but they're having to chase this game. 20 minutes to go, they're 11 points down.
So Australia have a line out 6 or 7 metres from the English goal line as we tick towards the hour mark. Thrown in by Fainger, who's come on at hooker for the Wallabies. They've got a good maul here, the Wallabies, but it's gone to ground. Lots of bodies on the floor. Was that illegal from England? No, the referee was happy. It's going to be a scrum England here, isn't it? Yes, it is. England have spoiled that Wallaby maul. And listen to the reaction from the England forwards.
Yeah, referee said it was gold that took that to floor. And I've got to say, Ollie Chesham, just understanding of that, him and Johnny Hill. And by the way, Ollie Chesham, I know he's been perhaps gone slightly under the radar, but you often get that sometimes with second rows. Considering this is his first start in such a big game, he has stood up really well to the onslaught that Australia have brought, and that was a massive intervention right there.
Yeah, Ollie Chesham filling the enormous boots of Maro Itoje. England need a bit more depth at lock with George Cruz retired, Courtney Law switching to the back row. Joe Launchbury's an option still. He never fails to put in a big shift for Wasps and England when he plays, Joe Launchbury, the 50 cap plus man. That scrum has gone straight to ground. What a mess that scrum is, but I think the referee just wants it used by England, and Billy Vunipola pops it back to Van Portfleet, who clears under pressure from Samu, and it will be a line out, Matt Dawson, to Australia on the 22. England still lead by 11, Australia 10, England 21.
Yeah, England looking a little bit creaky in that set piece, that scrum. Australia will fancy their chances there. I think probably it was a messy scrum. It went down, but I don't think the referee wanted to give a penalty to Australia where it was looking like that was possible.
It's interesting how Mako Vunipola, we know what quality player he is, but this Australian scrum is guided by Petrus du Plessis, who probably knows Mako Vunipola as a player, his ex-Saracens teammate, better than anyone. So his work, his detailed video analysis and time that he's put in the week is starting to pay dividends, because the last couple of scrums have started to creak for England.
Voice of Ugo Monye. Ugo, regular voice as ever on the Rugby Union Weekly podcast. And we'll be podding on the full-time whistle with Matt Dawson and Ugo Monye, reacting to this series decider in Sydney, but also the famous scenes in Wellington from an Irish rugby point of view. Ireland 32, New Zealand 22. Ireland beating the All Blacks and winning a series in New Zealand for the first time in their history, and the first time anyone's won a series over New Zealand since 1994. Line at Australia 22, Ugo.
Dawson, would you make any changes at this point from an English perspective?
I would like to see Joseph come on. I know lots been said about his age, but I think he's proven that he's worth a dabble.
Australia through McDermott, their replacement 9. Lola Seo short to Paisami, who goes into the England 22. Slap bang in centre field. McDermott finds Valentini. Bit of momentum behind the Wallabies now. Karevi can add to that, and he does. He thunders past Ludlam, who makes the tackle. Loose ball though, scrappy stuff for McDermott, who has it on the floor. Then Ludlam's all over that. No, it's a penalty to the Wallabies. Ludlam may have thought he got a clean steal, but referee Williams said it was illegal.
Slow down, guys. Slow down. Take a breath. Take a breath.
We talk about players' characters. Owen Farrell. That last defensive set. Shoulders, legs, everything, heart all over the place. Desperate to try and keep Australia out. But this is the first time in a little while where Australia have actually had a few minutes of pressure now in England's last third into that 22. England up to 10 penalties. At some point, Australia got to expect that their attack will click, and they're not going to get a better opportunity than this, 5 metres out.
And Folau Fainga, one of the try scorers in Perth, throws into the middle of the line out, well claimed by Australia. They're 5 metres out, they trail by 11, but 7 points here would take it back into the balance with 18 minutes to go off this test series. Good more defence from England, so McDermott has to go to his backs. Karevi runs into Smith and almost gets through. Smith holds on, but not before Karevi made some ground. There for McDermott, who finds Hooper. Big defence coming in by Mako Vunipola. McDermott to the left. driven on by Matt Phillip, the second row, under the England crossbar. They couldn't be too much closer, the Wallabies. McDermott out to Samu, another try scorer in Perth. He's caught 5 metres short. McDermott, he's going to go himself, but he slips, and he's caught a couple of metres short of the England line. Despairing defence by England. Corny Laws is in there, but Australia are almost up to the England line. A matter of inches, they're keeping it tight. Are they going to be held up over the line? That would be a goal line dropout. England would take that. Driven on again by Samu. A little pick and drive to the right. Advantage to Australia. They can throw caution to the wind now. If the forwards don't fancy it again, they do fancy it. Up to the line they go, Australia. McDermott walks to the scrum half. He gets it. He finds Lolaseo, who spins it out to Karevi, who just couldn't get it to Hodge.
That's a super tackle from Jack Van Portfield and Karevi as Australia start to fizz this ball about.
Frost 7 or 8 metres out. McDermott, Valentini deep to Lolaseo. Korobetti out to Samu, looking for the corner. Pete Samu, great tackle on the far side coming in. Saves the day. Freddie Stewart again. Who else?
We're in yellow card territory. Australia have had enough ball. That's the 3rd penalty in quick succession now from England. But fair play to England defence. Despite the penalties, they're massively fronting up.
Yeah, they could be desperate. England can be desperate, but they've got to be disciplined in their desperation for sure. Yeah, 1 try for Australia with 10-15 minutes to go. 4-point difference is a very, very different story. So, that's why we're seeing Australia kicking to touch, not going for goal. They know the importance of 7 points right now.
15 minutes left off this Test series. England have conceded the last 4 penalties, so surely that'll be in the referee's mind. But England's buffer is still healthy at 11 points. Australia 10, England 21. As Fainga prepares to throw in 5 metres out after Hodge just nudged it into the corner. Taken in by Phillip in the line-up for Australia, who look well set at the maul. They've got another advantage. There might well be an England player going into the sin bin soon. As Australia look to drive over, they're getting a little bit of traction with this rolling ball. Now it's gone to ground. McDermott's on the left. Another advantage. That's 4, 5, 6 penalties racking up against England. Can they keep their discipline and their shape here, England? As Australia drive on through Bell. There's the captain, Michael Hooper, round the fringe. Chesham is trying to steal, but Hooper's wrestled almost up to the line. McDermott now finds Fainga, who scores. Australia right back in it.
Who's timing it? You can see, you can hear from that commentary, Chris, the crescendo in your voice. You saw it coming. It was just inch by inch, yard by yard. England giving away a stack load of penalties. Not only is that bad news for England to concede a try, but it's fresh in the referee's mind. Paul Williams now is thinking England are ill-disciplined. Any kind of 50-50s, any poor decisions made by England players and penalties given away, they're going to find themselves in the bin now. For the next 5 minutes, they're under incredible pressure.
No one wants to concede a try, and that is bad timing for England. But I'm now going to contradict myself and say if Australia didn't score, I think England would have a man in the bin. With 15 minutes to go, that could change the game. So it's pick your poison for England at the moment. The deficit could be, well, it's now 4 with 13 minutes to go as Lolaseo kicks that conversion, but at least England have 15 people on the pitch.
What's interesting about that, Ugo, is in the first test between South Africa and Wales, he still gave a yellow card even when South Africa would score. So there might be some Wales fans going, well, hold on, why was he giving us yellow cards when the try had been scored? And that's one for the referee to weigh up, isn't it?
He hasn't given a team warning. He's not said that. He's not said fix your discipline. Too many penalties there. It was penalty advantage on penalty advantage. But sometimes that try just whitewashes what's happened in the last 2 or 3 minutes. But for England now, it's been penalty after penalty. They've got to get into Australia's half, stay there and just put them under some pressure.
Changes for England. Jack Willis and Nick Asikwa on. So some real talent coming on in the back 5 of the scrum. Lewis Ludlam and Ollie Chesham coming off. And Chesham's taken a big step forward here as he looks to establish himself as a long-term lock. Back from McDermott. Hodge clears. and he goes for touch. England don't go quickly. Line out, slap bang on halfway. Australia 17, England 21, 12 and a half minutes to go.
Yeah, I know that we're well into the game here, and there's of course going to be replacements, but I can't help but think that particularly Ludlam and Chesham have gone off. They've been given it. Well, Ludlam's definitely given away 2 penalties. Chesham's given away 2 penalties. Just changes the picture for the referee that those players have gone. You know, I think that's a sensible set of substitutions from Eddie and his coaching team there.
Well, Nick Ezekwe, if you cast your mind back to the Premiership semi-finals where Saracens took on Harlequins, and he came on as a replacement there. His interventions within the line-out as Australia, I think their line-out's really starting to get dividends. So I think it's a good replacement, so he can hopefully try and disrupt, add a bit of that extra ballast and 12 minutes to go, as well as that personnel change just to deflect attention away from the referee.
It looks like Angus Bell is off with a strained hamstring or something, so Slipper may have to come back on. They're hanging on, the Wallabies, aren't they, fitness-wise? And Len Ikitau has come on in the back line. Ezekwe leaps high and takes it in front of the line-out. Now Jack Willis, his first cap since the Six Nations of 2021, and how good it is to see him back in the wide of England. Johnny Hill drives on. Can England finish this game strongly, win the series, and go on their summer holidays with a big victory over Australia in the bag? Hoisted by Jack Van Poortvliet into Wallaby territory, where Koroibete takes it under pressure from Jack Noel. 12 minutes left on 5 Live. Alaalatoa, who's recovered from injury, to come off the bench. Lolesio, Kerevi, is that forward? No, the referee was happy. Wright goes inside, and Australia might be right back to Wright on the right touchline. Tom Wright couldn't quite link with Ikitau, but he's just short of the 22, and Australia have gone 50-60 metres, albeit with some questionable passes. Driven on by Matt Phillip, who's carried a bit more in this second half. Australia trailed by 4, but they're 30 metres out from the English line. Hodge up in the line, finds Samu, who almost gets through the super sub. Just short of the 22. McDermott to the right to Alaalatoa again, the tight head prop. Tate McDermott, centre field for Lolesio. Kerevi goes to the boot, turns England around. That looks a handy kick from Kerevi. England will throw into their own line out 5 metres out.
How good was that from Australia? My gosh, going from coast to coast. Lovely interplay, 2v1s in those 15-metre channels, and good decision-making from Tom Wright. But it's not just what they're doing with ball in hand, it's the understanding of when to then put that pressure on via the boot. And that kick from Kerevi, something which is perhaps a secondary skill of his. We know what a powerful, dynamic player he is. We speak about England and territory. It was Australia currently, over the last 10 minutes, who've got all the territory and all the ball.
Yeah, you just felt England had an opportunity just to squeeze Australia. You know that they're going to counter-attack. So get that line defence, get that white wall solid, squeeze them in their own 22. But just a sniff. And you know, I read this morning, Australia have got the most defenders beaten in the July Test matches, you know, because they have those types of players like Wright, like Kerevi, Lolesio, who have that sort of Marcus Smith quality. You look at the England side, you've got Marcus Smith, but where else, you know, England can't play that. Oh well, you're saying that. There we go, Chris, here's your man.
Right on cue, asking about X Factor, and on comes Henry Arundel, who came off the bench in the first test in Perth and scored a try for the ages. Can he come up with something to see this game out? England lead by 4, Ugo, but they're on their own 5.
Huge line-up now. Courtney Lawes right to the front of that line-up, commanding that ball. And Jack Van Poortvliet, who I think's kicked exceptionally well since coming on. This is a big kick. Needs to get distance on it, needs to get it off the pitch, or even better still, as they're marching up, take a penalty away from Australia.
Good maul, England. Good taking the line-up. They're still going forward. They might fancy a penalty here. Instead, Van Poortvliet kicks. He gets it away, and it's a good clearance kick from Jack Van Poortvliet. Good exit all round from England, but still, Matt Dawson, Australia have the line out. What are they, 30-odd metres out from the England line?
Yeah, listen, the laws have changed immeasurably from 15, 20 years ago, but you know, when you've got a maul trundling forward like that from your own line, there is only one way the referee's going to go, and that is penalty to England. Why you would kick that away, box kick it away, you're guaranteed a penalty there.
Australia off the line out. McDermott to Karevi. He's been very involved today, as you would expect. One of the best centres in the world, Samu Karevi. Rob Valentini bundles past Smith. He's put his body on the line, Marcus Smith, against some much bigger men. Lolaseo inside to Hooper. Huge hit coming in. Was that Mako Vunipola? I think it was. Valentini again. He flips it on to Frost. Karevi now dummies, almost gets past Hill. Well tackled by Cowan-Dickie. Big hits coming in from both sides. Ikital still 30 plus metres out from the England line. Corabetti goes into play, kind of a rugby league dummy half, as Mako Vunipola again has his body all over the Wallaby ball. Centre field for Australia. 4 points the England lead. It's a penalty to England. And I think it's Courtney Lawes once more. He's led from the front this tour. He's defied gravity by getting over that ball, according to the referee. Tackled by Nikasikwa.
What?
And then he's got Courtney Lawes forcing Australia to hold on. Not sure, Hugo?
Have a look at this replay now. Courtney Lawes is part of that tackle. Oh, he's done brilliantly well. I said Luke Cowan-Dickie earlier on. He was so quick it looked illegal. Courtney Lawes was very, very quick, but perfectly legal. Making the tackles, that secondary tackler, back to his feet and clamping over the ball.
Big impact on the big impact from the bench. Ezekwe making tackles, all right. Questionable whether it was a seatbelt tackle. Would have been mitigation if it was seen. Maybe the TMO could have got involved in that, but there's impact. Cowan-Dickie lively as well. You know, it makes such a difference when you get, you know, these impact players coming on.
England have a line out just inside the Australian half, and surely they can see this one out now. Great take, Nikasikwa, one-handed, basketball style, from Luke Cowan-Dickie's throw, but it's been lost in the maul, and Australia will have the scrum. And still, the Aussies are in this game. 7.5 minutes to go. Australia 17, England 12. It remains a one-score test match, and therefore it remains a nervous time for England fans, Hugo Monyo.
It certainly does. Talk about just getting your drills right. Just as Courtney Lawes, the captain, I think has been outstanding for this series. A big play for him. But what you want to do is start compounding those positives. Penalty, kick to the corner, drive the line out, which has worked pretty well for them. Now we're back into another battleground, which has been the scrum, and the Australian scrum has actually looked quite decent, but Joe Hayes has come on, fresh legs, opportunity for Australia to attack, opportunity for England to show that defensive pressure which they have shown over the last few minutes.
Australia have shown they can go from deep, haven't they? Their first half try by Tom Wright came from a move that started 60 odd metres away. So Australia will believe here as the clock ticks, and England won't mind this. Shenanigans at the scrum, as there so often is.
Well, you'd like to think that any experienced Australia player up front is saying, let's take them on. Let's take them on here. Keep the ball. Let's keep the ball in the scrum. If there's any sniff of a nudge forward from Australia, you're keeping it. You're going for the pen to kick to the corner.
Oof. McDermott feeds, it's gone to ground. The scrum has crumpled, but the referee wants it played by the Wallabies. McDermott obliges. Karevi runs into Marcus Smith. He's done that all series, and he's got over the gain line again. McDermott to the left to Lolaseo. England rushing up in defence. Farrell gets man and ball on Tom Wright. 5.5 minutes, just over left on 5 Live. England hanging on, 21-17 up. Australia with all the ball at the moment as Lolaseo finds Hooper, but the defence, Mako Vunipola has made some impact coming off the bench in defence. Ikital wearing 22, tackled by Ezekwe. McDermott comes to the left, Hooper out the back to Lolaseo. Can Australia connect the dots here? Just about. Corabetti finds Wright. Wright dances past one, gets it away to Corabetti, who sends it over to Samu on the left touchline. Tackled by Porter, but the Wallabies have made some ground, and they're not a million miles away from the English 22. Hooper trying to lead from the front, the Centurion, the veteran. But only 30. How much rugby has he played for Australia? How many situations like this has he been in? As Karevi flings it out to Rob Liotta, who's come on, and he finds Fainga, who's up to the 22. This is decent from Australia as McDermott finds Philip, the second row, just short of the 22. Makavitopoulos in there again, but it's clean ball for Australia. Ikitau, 23 metres out, 4 points in it. Australia 17, England 21. As Alan Alalatoa is chopped down just short of the 22. Tate McDermott for Australia. Pete Samu is felled just short of the 22. What a defensive set this is for England. Will the dam burst? Karevi into Porter. Up to the 22 he goes. Billy Villapoulos on that ball. He may have got a steal. He's made a mess of the Wallaby ball, and McDermott is under pressure. Can England hold out? It's been 14, 15 phases for the Wallabies, who are up to the 22. Have they got the incision, Australia? Phillip, good tackle, Courtney Laws round the ankles. Hooper plays at dummy half. He steps off his right boot. Makavitopoulos in there again, would you believe? Korobetti tries to put some pace on the ball. England still defending for dear life, desperately looking for the turnover. They've got it! Penalty England. What a defensive set, and that should be the game. Luke Cowan-Dickie triumphantly emerges with the ball. Phase upon phase upon phase, the big Wallaby carriers, and England hold firm. What a defensive set. Luke Cowan-Dickie and Courtney Laws both prominent. England win the penalty, and they can see this game out now, Matt Dawson.
I mean, the unity that you create from defensive set like that is massive. And Australia have punched themselves out. I mean, they tried whatever they possibly could. I don't know how Hooper, what the engine he has got. V8, I mean, he can keep going. But it just didn't matter. The white wall was just enveloping every single Australia player when they had the ball. That's an impressive 20-odd phases for England there.
Massive moment. Attack hasn't always, I mean, it's been an ever-present topic, hasn't it? Hasn't always functioned. But the one thing that has been undeniable at England right across these 3 tests, it's been their defence, their attitude. Tell a lot about people and teams through defence. Eddie Jones spoke about connectivity. Well, it's certainly very present there. Was it 3.5 minutes to go? Australia was 70% possession this second half, so England have had to put it on the line. Their defence, their discipline, has meant that they've had to defend a lot more. But more often than not, they've certainly come up with the answers. What they need to do now is get this ball to touch and just retain possession, get through the 18 phase Australia did, and then it's the game over. Then they can draw a line under Six Nations, then they can enjoy their summers.
Yeah, Farrell is going to clear from this penalty, and that's a good solid touch finder from the 97 cap man. Oh, big change for Australia, perhaps a little bit too late. Suliasi Vunivalu, who crossed codes from the NRL last year, is on for his Wallaby debut. 3 minutes left to make an impression, 4 points in it. I think Hodge coming off, so Tom Wright might switch to fullback. Will Vunivalu even get a chance to show what he can do and maybe save this series for the Wallabies? But it's in England's possession. The trophy's in their grasp as Cowan-Dickie finds Courtney Laws, and Laws can maybe enjoy these last 3 minutes as the England captain. The gap is 4 and England's maul is starting to rumble here. It's gone a couple of metres and Cowan-Dickie has it at the back. He made the big play with that turnover a moment ago. Through come the Wallabies. The maul goes to ground. Van Portfleet will kick, asking Arundel after it, Willis after it. Henry Arundel's taken it. He's wrestled to the ground, but it's back in England possession with 2.5 minutes to go. Van Portfleet will kick again. Has that one gone out on the full? No, it's nicely weighted by Van Portfleet, and Australia have the line out inside their 22.
I mean, it's fairly symptomatic of England, that, isn't it? They don't want to play with, even if it's in the opposition half with 2 minutes to go. They can't and don't want to go through the phases. They're just going to kick the ball away and say to the opposition, go on then, you try and we'll defend. That seems to be the England mentality and how they win games. You know, will that be the way that they play maybe now for the rest of Eddie Jones's tenure?
Yeah, it's a funny tour, isn't it? England look like they're going to win it, but still question marks remain, and we'll look forward to the autumn series and what that brings. Here is Vunivalu, who does get the ball. Australia have to go 70-odd metres with 90 seconds remaining. Jack Willis, one of the England replacements, making a big hit there. McDermott to the left. Samu caught in possession. Farrell is counter-rucking, making a mess of the Wallabies ball. McDermott comes to the left. Karevi flirting with that left touchline. But England have Australia where they want them. As McDermott snipes, he is caught. They've got to go a long way here, Australia, with a minute left, Hugo.
And England, just no penalties. They're playing with the ball in front of them. Australia in a rush to go nowhere at the moment, having to really charge their arms, but there's potential overlap. Farrell once again, another big hit. Courtney Lawes in that ruck, and they've won the ball back.
Great counter-ruck, England. Johnny Hill gets it away to Van Poortvliet, looking for the corner. He had Arundel with him, he just stumbled. That would have been a way to cap off this series, wouldn't it? Cowan Dickey finds Lawes. Right, have England got one last score, and then what a carry. Courtney Lawes, what a leader he's been today. Van Poortvliet wants it. 30 seconds left. England lead by 4. They're 5 metres from the Wallaby line. Billy Vunipola wrestles with a few Australians. He gets it away to Jack Willis, who's held up over the line. Goal line dropout. So close to a real flourish from England.
How good was that from Johnny Hill there? That the poach, the lovely out of the back pass to keep the continuous. I can't even say it.
Continuity.
That's the word. Thank you. The continuity was fabulous, and unfortunately just a little tap tackle on Van Poortvliet. Otherwise Arundel was in.
Nikasikwa gets up. Is this coming back on the England side or the Australian side from the goal line dropout? If it's unplayable, it's going to be an England series win. It is. Scrum given by the referee, and England can celebrate. We wait for the final whistle. Paul Williams, the referee. Everyone is waiting. It's a scrum. It's got to be full time, hasn't it?
Double check here, boys.
And he's double checking the time.
What's there to double check, Paul? It's the end of the game, pal.
Before the whistle, so therefore that is full time.
It's definitely full time.
Boys, that is full time.
There we go. Slightly anticlimactic at the end, but England celebrate, and look at the relief, and look at the joy from England. They've come from 1-0 down to win a series in Australia and to repeat the heroics of 2016. And young players like Van Poortvliet and Stewart and Chesham and the rest. What will this do for them going forward? Big win for England. Wasn't always pretty, but they've got the job done in Sydney. Australia 17, England 21. England take the series 2-1.
Yeah, that's a big win. Huge, given the pressure, given the circumstances, given the types of players that have come through this England side. That is a massive series win, and something that is going to stick with you for, I'm not going to say a long time, of course it will, but it's going to be in the forefront of these players' minds going into that World Cup. It's so important to be able to win away from home, get used to that feeling of winning away from home, because the World Cup is away from home, and you know, you can't knock it. It's great to have that in the memory bank. There's going to be some players here in that World Cup who have won twice in Australia, and now this fresh group of individuals have some invaluable experience.
Certainly do. For all the exciting youth, massive shout out Ellis Genge, Will Stewart, no Carl Sinclair on this tour, who's gone 3 tests and been brilliant in the set piece as well as around the park. Courtney Lawes, Billy Vunipola, Owen Farrell, Freddie Stewart at the back. The spine of this English team has been exceptional. And I think we now know how, we've got a blueprint of how you win a tour away from home. You have to go 1-0 down in the test series to come back to win it 2-1. Happened to Ireland earlier on today, and now it's Australia. That is absolutely phenomenal. Congratulations, England.
And how do you sum up England's series in general, Matt Dawson? We'll do loads more chat on the Rugby Union Weekly podcast, which will be coming out in the next hour or two. 1-0 down in Perth, lots of questions being asked. Eddie Jones really under the pump. How would the RFU have reacted if England had lost 3-0? Didn't happen. They've turned it around to win 2-1. So Project 2023 well and truly on track. How much do England have to improve from here to match the best teams in the world, do you think?
There certainly has to be improvement, Chris. There's no question about that. I wouldn't say that England are playing the sorts of rugby that is going to win the World Cup right now, but it's not about winning it now. Yeah, that would be my concern for, you know, say an Ireland team at the moment who are absolutely flying high. Can you keep that momentum for another year? Well, England are building their momentum. They're not playing their best, but they're playing, I think, they're playing a style, particularly the last couple of test matches, which will win them games. Again, I totally disagree with the performance over winning. It's about winning the game. I could tell you from my own experience, you know, winning the World Cup, playing some pretty average rugby. There isn't an asterisk next to it saying, oh, by the way, didn't really play very well. It's like, yeah, we won. Thanks very much. End of. And these players will take that. They will take winning ugly all day long. I don't care. It's about the celebration and the victory rather than the performance.
Because even if you do win ugly, you still got to go to the well as a team, haven't you? And do a 16-phase defensive set that, as you said in comms, is going to bring you together.
Yeah.
But it would bring you less together if Australia had scored in the final moments and you lose the series.
Yeah, because you're not necessarily drawing on that when you've lost. There's other things to focus on.
You're dwelling on why you lost.
Yeah, rather than picking out those little nuances of why you are able to win at the death. You know, and that was a game to win at the death. I know England were leading by, 11 points, but they didn't stroll to the finish line. They had to really graft under pressure, and they should subconsciously and consciously take that away with them.
And Hugo, Freddie Stewart named man of the match. No complaints on that front. Stewart, we know how good he is. He's been doing it for exactly a year now since he burst on the scene. But along with him, who else has caught your eye over the last few weeks?
Yeah, just mentioned him a little while ago. I mean, Freddie Stewart, he's England Player of the Season. He's nominated by his own staff and the fans. He's been outstanding. Billy Villapolo's inclusion into this side, and that's kind of come in tandem with Alex Dombrant missing out on this tour. Eddie Jones said after the second test he's not quite back to his best, but he's not far off it. His work rate, his athleticism, those extra touches that he's brought to his just sheer obvious brutality has been brilliant. I think Ellis Genges is some player, but to Dawes' point about going to the world, they've had to show a real depth to this campaign. I think it's really important that England have had to struggle and fight and find a way at times. They certainly didn't find that in the first test, but no Maritoji, no Sam Underhill, no Tom Corrie, no Charlie Ewels, guys on debuts, youngsters coming off the bench, and they've all been able to do it. We've been asking the question about depth in certain positions and often been one at number 9. To have the confidence to bring off a Danny Care after 36 minutes, who's nearing 90 caps, to bring on Jack Van Poortvliet to see out the game and give him just over half of rugby, and he came on and added to it. That's the kind of strength and depth you want to be building. So we've seen the depth allied with a series victory.
And a man we haven't spoken about much, Matt Dawson, this series. We've spoken about his combination with Owen Farrell, but he's not been lighting up our commentary for the last few weekends, Marcus Smith, but then he pounced on a loose ball, goes 60 metres and scores the try to win the game.
Yeah, well, and he definitely has that ability to change the game. I don't think that surprises anyone. I would still love for England to have a challenge to Owen Farrell and the midfield. I would like to see Marcus Smith running that back line as he does at Quins, and I just think England will have whether we'll actually do that, because the way that England want to play and have played in the last couple of test matches, you probably do need an Owen Farrell in there for your kicking options and your defence, but it still does lack something to unlock the potential that I still think there's more for Marcus to give in that England shirt. I really do. We see the little moments of brilliance, but we're not seeing him